There is a reason you stopped here. Not later. Not after scrolling past 10 other things. Not when you had more time. But right now, in this exact moment, with your attention pulled in a way you cannot fully explain. Something within you paused. Something within you recognized this. And even if you try to brush it off, even if you tell yourself, it's just another message, there is a quiet voice inside you that refuses to let go, whispering, wait, what if this is for me? This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is not just content passing through your screen. This is a divine interruption. Because there are moments in your life when the unseen world leans closer than usual, when heaven itself reaches through the noise, through the distractions, through the endless scrolling, and places something directly in your path. Not to entertain you, not to scare you, but to wake you up. And this is one of those moments. You didn't just find this message. You were led to it. There has been something building around you. You felt it, haven't you? That subtle shift in your energy. That strange feeling like something is about to happen, but you can't quite explain what. Moments where your thoughts feel heavier, where your intuition speaks louder, where silence feels different, almost like it's carrying something. You tried to ignore it. You told yourself you were overthinking. But deep down, you knew something wasn't normal. And now, here you are. Right on time. Because Archangel Michael does not step forward without purpose. He does not interrupt without reason. When his presence draws near, it means something is already in motion. Something unseen. Something that has your name attached to it. And the truth is, this message reached you before that moment fully unfolds. Not after. Not too late. But just before. That's how divine protection works. It doesn't wait for chaos. It prepares you before it arrives. So ask yourself this: why now? Why this message? Why did your attention lock in at this exact second? Because somewhere right now something is happening that involves you. Someone is thinking about you. Not casually. Not briefly. Not in passing. But with intention. With focus. With energy. And that thought, that attention, it is not floating aimlessly. It is moving. It is building. It is creating a ripple that is beginning to reach you, whether you realize it yet or not. That's why your spirit reacted before your mind could understand. That's why you couldn't just scroll past. Because your spirit recognized the signal. And Archangel Michael is stepping in now, not to alarm you, but to prepare you. Not to confuse you, but to bring clarity before confusion tries to take over. You are being positioned in awareness. You are being pulled into alignment. You are being given insight ahead of time. But here is the part that matters most: what you do next matters. Because not every message is meant to be heard and forgotten. Some messages are meant to change how you move from this moment forward. And this is one of them. So don't rush past this feeling. Don't silence that inner nudge. Don't dismiss what your spirit is trying to show you. Because this is only the beginning. And what's about to be revealed next will explain why this moment had to find you first. Type "I am aware" in the comments if you feel this message found you for a reason. Blessing code 1717 is now surrounding you. There is something you need to understand, and you need to understand it now, before your mind tries to dismiss what your spirit already feels. You are not as unnoticed as you think. In fact, at this very moment, while you are listening to these words, there is a presence tied to your name, not physically near you, not standing in front of you, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually focused on you in a way that is far more intentional than you realize. Someone is thinking about you. Not casually. Not in passing. Not the way a random memory drifts through the mind and disappears just as quickly as it came. No, this is different. This is sustained. This is deliberate. This is a quiet fixation that has been building over time, even before this message reached you. And what makes it more significant is this: they are not speaking to you about it. They are not revealing it. They are holding it in silence. You have felt something, haven't you? That strange awareness when your name seems to echo in your own mind for no reason. That sudden thought about someone you haven't spoken to in a while. That moment where you pause and feel like you are being remembered somewhere, even though there is no evidence in front of you. That is not imagination. That is not coincidence. That is connection. Because when someone thinks about you with intensity, it creates movement in the unseen. It creates a ripple that travels beyond distance, beyond silence, beyond physical interaction. And your spirit is sensitive enough to pick up on it. That is why certain moments lately have felt heavier than usual. That is why your mind has wandered back to specific people without explanation. That is why there have been flashes of memory, fragments of conversations, echoes of energy that you thought you had already moved past. You are not reaching for them. They are reaching toward you. But here is where you must stay alert, because not all attention carries the same weight, and not all thoughts directed toward you come from the same place. Archangel Michael steps forward in this moment not just to inform you, but to sharpen your awareness. Because this person has not yet revealed their intention, and intention matters more than attention. You see, someone can think about you out of love. Someone can think about you out of regret. Someone can think about you because they miss what they lost. But someone can also think about you because your growth unsettles them, because your silence confuses them, because your elevation has forced them to confront something within themselves they are not ready to face. And right now, you do not fully know which one it is. That is why this message reached you before they reached you. Because heaven does not allow you to walk blindly into situations that require discernment. There is a reason they have not spoken yet. There is a reason everything is happening in the background. There is a reason their thoughts have remained hidden instead of expressed. It is because something is still forming. Something is still being decided. Something is still building beneath the surface. And when something builds in silence long enough, it eventually moves into action. That is the moment you are being prepared for. Think about this carefully. Have you noticed someone who suddenly went quiet? Someone who pulled back without explanation? Someone whose energy changed, whose tone shifted, whose presence felt different the last time you interacted with them? These are not random changes. These are signs. Subtle, quiet, almost easy to ignore, but they are there. Because while you moved forward, they stayed behind in thought. While you shifted your focus, they remained focused on you. While you released certain connections, they continued holding on to them. And now, that internal focus is reaching a point where it can no longer stay hidden. This is why Archangel Michael is not asking you to react. He is not asking you to reach out. He is not asking you to confront anything prematurely. He is asking you to observe, to stay still, to become aware of what is happening without rushing to respond to it. Because awareness is your protection. When you know something is unfolding, you are no longer caught off guard by it. When you sense the movement before it becomes visible, you are no longer controlled by the moment when it arrives. And right now, you are being given that advantage. Someone is thinking about you. Silently. Consistently. Intentionally. And soon that silence will begin to break. The only question is, will you be ready when it does? Type ISC clearly in the comments if you feel this truth. Blessing code 1818 is now surrounding your awareness. There is something that has been happening to you quietly, gradually, almost so subtly that you tried to explain it away instead of confronting it. But you felt it. You felt it in the moments when everything around you looked normal, yet something inside you refused to settle. You felt it in the silence, when your mind should have been at peace, but instead, it kept drifting back to certain thoughts, certain people, certain unexplained feelings that would not leave you alone. You felt it when your energy shifted without warning, when your mood changed without a clear reason, when your spirit became alert even when your surroundings gave you no cause to be. That was not random. That was not you being too sensitive. That was not your imagination trying to create something that wasn't there. It was your awareness responding to something real, something already in motion. Because when someone begins to think about you with intensity, when their focus becomes consistent, when their emotions begin to attach themselves to your name, it does not stay contained within them. It moves. It travels. It creates an invisible pull, a subtle tension, a shift in the atmosphere that your spirit can feel long before your mind understands it. And you are sensitive enough to feel it. That is why certain days recently have felt heavier than others. That is why you have experienced moments where your thoughts seem to loop back to the same place without your permission. That is why you have had flashes of intuition, quick, almost fleeting signals that something is happening beneath the surface. You tried to ignore it. You told yourself to focus on what is in front of you. You told yourself not to overthink. But the truth is you were not overthinking. You were perceiving. Archangel Michael speaks into this moment with clarity because he knows how easily you could misinterpret what you are feeling. He knows how quickly you could blame yourself for the shift instead of recognizing its source. And so he brings this message to anchor you in truth. The energy you have been feeling is not self-created. It is externally influenced. Someone's attention has been resting on you. Someone's thoughts have been circling you. Someone's emotions have been building in silence. And that energy has been reaching you. This is why your internal world has felt different. This is why your peace has been interrupted at unexpected times. This is why you have sensed something without being able to name it. Because what you are feeling is not confusion. It is connection. But here is where discernment becomes critical. Not all energy that reaches you is meant to stay with you. Not all thoughts directed toward you are meant to influence you. Not all connections are meant to be reactivated. And this is where many people make a mistake. They feel the pull, and they assume it means they must respond. They sense the shift, and they believe it means they must return to what they left behind. They interpret the energy as an invitation when sometimes it is simply a test. A test of your awareness. A test of your alignment. A test of whether you will recognize what is happening without allowing it to control you. Because let this be clear, just because someone is thinking about you does not mean they have access to you. Just because someone feels drawn to you does not mean they are aligned with you. Just because someone's energy reaches you does not mean it is meant to remain with you. And that is why this moment matters so deeply. Because you are being made aware before anything becomes visible. You are being shown the shift before it turns into action. You are being positioned in understanding before you are placed in a situation where you must decide how to respond. This is protection. This is preparation. This is divine awareness activating within you. So instead of questioning yourself, instead of dismissing what you feel, instead of trying to force normalcy where something clearly is not normal, you must do something different now. You must observe. You must stay still. You must allow your awareness to sharpen without rushing into reaction. Because whatever is building is not finished yet. And when it reveals itself fully, when the silence breaks, when the thoughts turn into action, you will not be confused, because you were already shown. You will not be unprepared, because you already felt it coming. You will not be caught off guard, because this moment gave you clarity before the moment arrived. That is the power of what you are experiencing right now. That is why this section found you. That is why your spirit refused to ignore the shift, because something is moving toward you, and now you are aware of it. Type "I trust my discernment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2020 is now activating clarity around you. As this message reaches your spirit, understand this: what you are receiving is not just information, it is a seed. A seed being planted into hearts across the world, awakening souls who have been waiting for truth to find them. And just as Scripture declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is your moment to step into that flow. When you choose to sow into this mission, you are not giving to a channel. You are fueling a movement of light, a river of truth that continues to reach those who feel lost, those who feel unseen, those who are searching for divine direction just like you were. I feel led to say this clearly: when you give, you unlock something not just for others, but for yourself. There is a harvest attached to obedience, a blessing attached to alignment, and a covering that follows those who support what heaven is doing. The PayPal link is placed in the description, and the QR code is right there on your screen, not by accident, but as an opportunity for you to act in this moment. Do not delay what your spirit is nudging you to do. Step into it now, and let your seed become someone else's answered prayer. Now listen carefully, because this is the moment where everything shifts from feeling to knowing. Up until now, you have been sensing something. You have been picking up on subtle changes, quiet movements, unseen energy that your spirit recognized but your mind could not fully explain. You have been navigating this space of awareness without confirmation, feeling something real but not yet having clarity about what it truly means. But now that changes, because Archangel Michael does not remain silent when clarity is required. He steps forward, and when he steps forward, confusion must step back. His presence is not passive. It is not symbolic. It is not distant. It is active, intentional, and precise. He does not arrive to entertain your thoughts. He arrives to correct them. He does not come to add noise. He comes to cut through it. And right now, his voice is being directed toward you for one reason: to anchor you in truth before anything attempts to pull you out of alignment. You are not imagining what you have been feeling. You are not creating this shift within yourself. You are not overreacting to nothing. What you have sensed is real, and Archangel Michael confirms it without hesitation. There is movement surrounding you. There is attention directed toward you. There is energy building that has not yet revealed itself in the physical, but is already active in the unseen. And the reason his voice is reaching you now is because what is forming has reached a point where you must be aware of it. Not later. Not after it happens. Now. Because Michael does not wait for you to be overwhelmed before he speaks. He positions you before the moment arrives so that when it does, you are not reacting from confusion. You are responding from clarity. And this is where you must understand the authority behind what is being said to you. Michael is not offering suggestions. He is not presenting possibilities. He is declaring truth. And the truth is this: someone's focus on you has created a shift that is beginning to take shape beyond thought. What started as silent attention is moving toward expression. What was contained internally is preparing to move externally. And when that transition happens, It will come in a way that demands your awareness. That is why you are being prepared now. Because without awareness, you would interpret the moment emotionally. Without clarity, you would respond impulsively. Without understanding, you would allow the situation to pull you back into something you have already outgrown. But with awareness, everything changes. And this is where Archangel Michael's role becomes unmistakable. He stands not only as a messenger, but as a protector of your alignment. His presence in this moment is not just to reveal what is happening. It is to ensure that what is happening does not disrupt what you have become. Because you have changed. You are not the same version of yourself that once responded without thinking. You are not the same version of yourself that once allowed others' emotions to dictate your decisions. You are not the same version of yourself that once returned to situations simply because they felt familiar. You have grown. You have shifted. You have elevated in ways that not everyone around you has fully understood. And that is exactly why this moment carries weight. Because when someone from your past, or someone who had been silently observing you, begins to move toward you again, it is not just a simple interaction. It is a collision between who you used to be and who you have become. And Michael is making one thing clear. You cannot afford to forget who you are now. You cannot afford to step out of alignment for the sake of comfort. You cannot afford to ignore what your spirit has already confirmed. Because the moment that is approaching will test your awareness. It will test your discernment. It will test whether you truly recognize the difference between what feels familiar and what is actually aligned. And this is where his voice becomes even more direct. He is not telling you to fear what is coming. He is not telling you to avoid it. He is telling you to see it clearly, to recognize it for what it is, to stand in your awareness instead of losing yourself in reaction. Because you are not being placed in this situation to be confused. You are being placed in it to demonstrate clarity. You are not being approached to be pulled backward. You are being approached to confirm how far you have moved forward. And as Michael stands in this moment, his presence creates a boundary around you. A boundary that separates your awareness from their intention. A boundary that ensures you are not drawn in without understanding. A boundary that keeps you grounded in truth, no matter how the situation presents itself. This is protection. This is guidance. This is alignment being guarded at a higher level than you can see. So when the moment comes, and it will come, you will not be guessing. You will not be uncertain. You will not be questioning what you feel. Because you were already told. You were already shown. You were already prepared. And now, you stand in a position that many never reach, the position of knowing before the moment arrives. The only thing left is how you will choose to respond when it does. Type "I stand in truth" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2222 is now sealing your alignment. Now this is where the question becomes unavoidable and you can feel it rising within you even before it is spoken. Why now? Why? After all this time, after distance, after silence, after everything that has already shifted in your life, why would someone begin thinking about you with this level of intensity again? Why you and why at this exact moment? Because timing like this is never random. Timing like this is always triggered. There is always a reason behind it, even if that reason has not yet been revealed to you directly. And what Archangel Michael is making clear right now is this: their thoughts did not begin without cause. Something has happened, either within them, within you, or within the space that connects both of you, that has activated this sudden focus. And the truth is, it is not as simple as missing you. It is deeper than that. It is more complex than that. Because people do not suddenly think about someone with intensity unless something has shifted. Something has changed. Something has been awakened. And in this moment, that something is connected to your growth. You have moved forward. You have changed in ways that are visible, even if you have not been announcing it. Your energy has shifted. Your presence has evolved. The way you think, the way you respond, the way you carry yourself, it is no longer the same. And even if you have done this quietly, even if you have grown without needing validation, that growth does not go unnoticed, especially not by someone who once knew you differently. Because when you change, when you elevate, when you begin to move in a direction that is no longer aligned with your past, it creates a reaction in those who are still connected to that past version of you. And that reaction often begins in silence. They start to think about you. They start to compare who you were with who you are now. They start to question what they lost, what they misunderstood, what they failed to recognize when they had access to you. And slowly those thoughts begin to build. But there is another layer to this, one that you must not ignore. Sometimes people think about you not because they understand your growth, but because your growth unsettles them, because your silence left them with unanswered questions, because your absence forced them to confront something within themselves they had avoided for too long. And now, without warning, without preparation, those unresolved thoughts have resurfaced and they are circling back to you. That is why it feels sudden. That is why it feels unexpected. But in reality it has been building for longer than you realize. And now it has reached a point where it can no longer stay contained. This is the moment where thought begins to move toward action. This is the moment where silence begins to turn into intention. This is the moment where thinking about you is no longer just internal. It is preparing to become external. And that is why Archangel Michael is bringing your attention to it now. Because you must understand the difference between someone remembering you and someone being drawn back to you. Those are not the same thing. Remembering is passive. Being drawn back is active. And what you are dealing with right now is active. Something within them has been triggered. Something within them has been activated. And whether that activation comes from longing, curiosity, regret, confusion, or something deeper, it is strong enough to begin pulling their attention toward you again. But here is the part you must hold on to, no matter what unfolds next. Just because someone is drawn back to you does not mean they are aligned with who you are now. Just because someone begins thinking about you again does not mean they have grown in the same way you have. Just because someone feels pulled toward your energy does not mean they are meant to re-enter your life in the same way they once did. And this is where people lose themselves. They confuse attention with alignment. They confuse interest with intention. They confuse someone's return with something meaningful when in reality, it is simply unresolved energy seeking closure or clarity. That is why this moment is so important. Because you are being shown what is happening without being told yet what it means. You are being made aware of the movement without being asked to act on it immediately. You are being positioned in understanding so that when the moment arrives, you are not reacting based on emotion. You are responding based on truth. Because the truth is this: their thoughts are not random, and their timing is not accidental. Something about you right now has triggered something within them. And that trigger is what has brought them back into a space where your name, your presence, your memory has become impossible for them to ignore. But the question you must prepare yourself for is not why they are thinking about you. The real question is, what do they intend to do about it? Because intention is what determines everything that comes next. And very soon that intention will no longer remain hidden. Type "I choose clarity" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2323 is now guiding your understanding. Now this is where you must become even more aware, because what is about to be revealed is the part most people fail to recognize until it is too late. Not every thought directed toward you carries purity. Not every focus on your name comes from love. Not every moment of someone remembering you is rooted in good intention. And this is not said to create fear within you. It is said to sharpen your discernment. Because when someone begins thinking about you intensely, the energy behind those thoughts matters more than the thoughts themselves. The reason they are thinking about you matters more than the fact that they are thinking about you. And right now, you do not yet see clearly what is driving them. That is why Archangel Michael is stepping closer in this moment, not just as a voice of awareness, but as a protector of your perception. Because one of the greatest mistakes you could make right now is assuming their intentions without truly seeing them. You might want to believe it is positive. You might want to assume it is genuine. You might want to interpret their focus as something meaningful or aligned. But Michael is urging you to not assume, observe. Because hidden intentions reveal themselves through patience, not projection. Understand this clearly. There are many reasons why someone may be thinking about you, and not all of them come from a place that is meant to uplift you. Some people think about you because they miss the version of you that was easier to access, easier to influence, easier to understand on their terms. They are not thinking about who you are now. They are thinking about who you used to be. Some people think about you because your absence created a void they did not expect. Not because they value you in the way you deserve, but because they are now aware of what they lost access to. Some people think about you because they feel unsettled by your growth, because you moved forward while they remained where they were, because your silence forced them to face something within themselves they had avoided, and instead of evolving, they fixate. And then there are those who think about you with intentions that are not aligned at all. Not necessarily harmful in an obvious way, but rooted in control, curiosity, or unresolved emotion that seeks to pull you back into a dynamic that no longer serves you. This is why you must remain grounded. Because the energy of being thought about can feel like a pull. It can feel like something is drawing you back, nudging your attention, creating a sense of familiarity that feels almost comforting. But familiarity is not always alignment. And this is where many lose their clarity. They feel the pull, and they respond. They sense the connection, and they assume it means something positive. They interpret the attention as an invitation, without questioning the intention behind it. But Archangel Michael is making one thing very clear in this moment. You are not meant to respond to every pull you feel. You are meant to discern it. Because just because someone is thinking about you does not mean they have pure intentions toward you. And just because someone feels drawn to you does not mean they are meant to be close to you. You must remember who you are now. You must remember what you have already moved through. You must remember the version of yourself that no longer tolerates confusion, inconsistency, or misaligned energy. Because if their intentions are unclear now, they will not suddenly become clear the moment they reach out. If their thoughts are mixed now, their actions will reflect that same mixture. If their focus is rooted in unresolved emotion, their approach will carry that same uncertainty. And this is why you are being shown this before anything happens. Because once action replaces silence, it becomes easier to be influenced by tone, by words, by presentation. It becomes easier to interpret things emotionally instead of clearly. But right now, in this space before anything is revealed, you have the advantage of awareness without distraction. Use it. Do not rush to define what you do not yet fully see. Do not attach meaning to something that has not yet revealed its true nature. Do not allow your mind to create a narrative before reality presents itself. Instead, stay grounded. Stay observant. Stay aligned with what your spirit is already telling you. Because your spirit does not react, it recognizes. It does not guess, it knows. And right now, it is guiding you toward one simple truth. Not all attention is meant to be received, and not all intentions are meant to be trusted. Soon, what is hidden will begin to show itself. Soon, what is silent will begin to speak. Soon, what is internal will become visible. And when that moment comes, you will not need to guess what their intentions are. You will see them clearly. Type "I discern the truth" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2424 is now strengthening your awareness. There is something deeper happening here, something that goes beyond thoughts, beyond memory, beyond simple attention. And if you are not aware of it, you will misunderstand everything that follows. Because this is not just about someone thinking about you. This is about a connection that was never fully severed. You may have walked away. You may have created distance. You may have closed doors, shifted your focus, and moved forward with your life in a way that felt final to you. But what you must understand is this: not all connections end at the moment you decide they do. Some remain active beneath the surface, unseen, unspoken, but still present in ways that are not always obvious. This is what Archangel Michael is revealing to you now. There are ties that exist beyond physical interaction. Ties formed through shared experiences, emotional depth, unresolved conversations, unspoken endings, or moments that carried more weight than either of you fully acknowledged at the time. And when those ties are not fully understood or released, they do not disappear, they remain dormant, until something activates them again. And right now something has. That is why this feels different. That is why this does not feel like a random memory or a passing thought. Because what is happening is not surface level. It is rooted in a connection that still exists in the unseen. You might not see it. You might not have thought about it recently. But that does not mean it is gone. Because connections like this do not rely on constant communication to exist. They exist in the space between what was and what was never fully resolved. They exist in the emotional imprint left behind after two lives intersect in a way that changes both, even if only one of them moved forward completely. And this is where the awareness you have been given becomes critical. Because when a dormant connection becomes active again, it creates a pull. Not always strong enough to control you, but strong enough to get your attention. Strong enough to make you pause. Strong enough to make you feel something that you cannot immediately explain. That is what you have been feeling. Not confusion, not randomness, but activation. Something that once existed between you and this person has been stirred again. And whether that stirring comes from their thoughts, their emotions, their current situation, or something shifting in your own energy, it has created a bridge of awareness that you can now feel. But listen carefully, because this is where most people lose their clarity. They feel the connection, and they assume it means they must return to it. They feel the pull, and they interpret it as a sign that something is meant to restart. They feel the familiarity, and they confuse it with alignment. But Archangel Michael is speaking directly into that misunderstanding. A connection being active does not mean it is meant to be reestablished. A bond being felt does not mean it is meant to be rebuilt. A presence being sensed does not mean it is meant to be welcomed back into your life in the same way it once existed. Sometimes, a connection reactivates for one reason only: to reveal what was never fully understood, to bring clarity where there was confusion, to close something that was left open, to show you how much you have changed, to confirm that what once felt significant no longer holds the same place in your life. And this is why you must remain steady. Because what you are feeling is real, but what it means is not yet fully revealed. You are being shown the existence of a connection again, but you are not yet being shown its purpose. And until that purpose becomes clear, your role is not to act, it is to observe. Because there is a difference between being aware of a connection and being controlled by it. You are not being called to lose yourself in what you feel. You are being called to understand it without being consumed by it. And this is where your growth becomes evident. The version of you that existed before may have responded immediately, may have reached out, may have tried to reconnect simply because the feeling was there. But the version of you now, the one who has been shaped by experience, by awareness, by everything you have already moved through, does not move without clarity. You do not chase what you do not fully understand. You do not return to what has not proven alignment. You do not open doors simply because they feel familiar. And that is why this moment matters. Because the connection is real. The awareness is real. The pull is real. But your response must be intentional. Because something unseen has been activated between you and this person. And soon, that unseen connection will begin to reveal itself in a way that you can no longer ignore. The only question is, when it does, will you recognize its purpose, or will you mistake it for something it is not? Type "I remain aligned" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2525 is now strengthening your spiritual clarity. Now this is where everything begins to tighten, where the stillness you've been in starts to carry weight, because what hath been forming in silence is no longer staying contained. A move is being prepared, not hypothetically, not eventually, but actively right now. You must understand this clearly. Thought does not remain thought forever. When attention builds long enough, when emotion attaches itself to that attention, when intention begins to take shape behind it, it moves. It transitions from something internal into something external. And that transition is exactly what is approaching. This is what Archangel Michael is warning you about. Because what started as someone thinking about you, what continued as energy reaching you, what deepened into a connection being reactivated, is now moving toward expression. And expression changes everything. Because once something is expressed, it demands a response. That is why this moment is so critical. Because you are standing right before that shift. You are in the space before contact, before the message, before the call, before the sudden interaction that feels like it came out of nowhere, but in truth, has been building behind the scenes for longer than you realize. And when it comes, it will not feel random. It will feel intentional. It will feel direct. It will feel like something you cannot ignore. But here is what you must hold on to, no matter how it presents itself. The way it arrives does not always reveal the truth behind it. Because people do not always approach with clarity. They approach with emotion. They approach with confusion. They approach with mixed intentions that are not yet fully resolved within themselves. And that means what they say and what they truly mean may not align completely. This is why Archangel Michael is not just warning you that a move is coming. He is preparing you for how to receive it. Because it may not come in a way that is obvious. It may come casually. It may come as a simple message, something that appears harmless on the surface. But how have you been? I was just thinking about you. A small opening that seems easy to respond to without much thought. Or it may come more directly. A sudden expression. A confession. An attempt to reconnect that feels intense, unexpected, and emotionally charged. Or it may come in a way that tests you even more subtly. Through someone else. Through a situation that brings their name back into your awareness. Through a coincidence that is not truly a coincidence, but a pathway designed to reintroduce their presence into your space. No matter how it arrives, the purpose is the same. To create a moment where you are faced with a choice, a moment where your awareness is tested, a moment where you must decide whether you will respond based on what you feel or based on what you know. Because what you feel in that moment may not be simple. It may carry familiarity. It may carry curiosity. It may even carry a sense of connection that feels difficult to ignore. But what you know, what you have already been shown, what your spirit has already confirmed, that is what must guide you. Because this is not just an interaction. This is a turning point. A point where the past reaches toward the present. A point where something unresolved attempts to find closure, continuation, or re-entry. And your role in that moment is not to react. It is to discern. To pause. To see clearly. To recognize not just what is being said, but what is behind it. Because intention is not always spoken. It is revealed through consistency, through energy, through alignment over time. And one moment, one message, one interaction is not enough to define that. That is why you must not rush. That is why you must not allow the immediacy of the situation to pull you into a response that bypasses your awareness. Because once you respond without clarity, you give access before understanding. And once access is given, it becomes harder to step back into observation. So remain still. Remain grounded. Remain aware of everything you have already been shown. Because this move, whatever form it takes, is not happening without purpose. And your response to it will determine whether it becomes something that aligns with your path or something that pulls you away from it. You have been prepared for this moment. You have been given awareness before action. You have been shown the shift before the arrival. Now, all that remains is how you will stand when it comes. Type "I will not be caught" off guard in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2626 is now activating divine awareness around you. As this moment reaches your spirit, understand what is unfolding here. This is not just a message. This is a movement of awakening flowing across lives that are ready to hear truth. Scripture declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." And right now, your act of giving becomes a seed planted into souls who are still searching for light in their darkest moments. I feel this deeply. When you choose to support this mission, you are not giving to a platform. You are opening a channel for God's voice to reach someone who is one message away from transformation. The PayPal link waiting in the description and the QR code on your screen are not just auctions. They are invitations for you to step into obedience in this exact moment. Do not delay what your spirit is prompting you to do, because timing matters when heaven moves. Your seed carries purpose, your giving carries power, and your obedience releases blessing not just outward, but back into your own life. Step into this now and become part of what God is doing through this message. Now this is where everything you have been shown, everything you have felt, everything that has been building within your awareness comes down to one thing: your response. Not their action, not their intention, not the way the moment presents itself, but your response. Because what is about to unfold will not just test what you know, it will test how you handle what you feel. And this is where most people lose their power. They feel first and then they react. They allow emotion to take the lead, and by the time clarity tries to catch up, the decision has already been made. The door has already been opened. The access has already been given. But Archangel Michael is standing firmly in this moment to shift that pattern within you. Because you are not meant to be led by emotion anymore. You are meant to be guided by discernment. And there is a difference, a powerful, life-defining difference. Emotion responds quickly. It reacts to tone, to familiarity, to the energy of the moment. It seeks comfort, resolution, connection. It wants to move fast, to answer, to engage, to restore what feels like it could be something meaningful again. But discernment pauses. Discernment observes. Discernment does not rush to interpret. It waits to understand. And right now, that pause, that stillness, that space between what happens and how you respond, that is where your power exists. Because when the moment arrives, and it will, you may feel something. You may feel curiosity. You may feel familiarity. You may even feel a pull that reminds you of something you once knew, something that once felt real, something that once mattered. But feeling something does not mean you must act on it. This is the truth you must hold on to. Because what you feel in the moment is not always aligned with what is right for you in the long term. And this is why you are being prepared now. So that when emotion rises, discernment is already in place. So that when the message comes, you do not respond immediately. You receive it. You observe it. You allow it to reveal itself before you decide what it means. Because not everything that feels familiar is meant to be re-entered. Not everything that feels strong is meant to be followed. And not everything that reaches you deserves your immediate access. This is where your growth becomes visible. Because the version of you that existed before may have responded without thinking, may have allowed emotion to guide the interaction, may have interpreted the moment as something it was not, simply because it felt significant. But the version of you now does not move that way. You have learned. You have experienced. You have seen what happens when you act before you understand. And now, you stand in a different position, a position of awareness, of control, of clarity. And that position requires something from you. It requires patience. It requires restraint. It requires the ability to sit with a moment without needing to immediately define it. Because discernment is not about rejecting. It is about recognizing. Recognizing what is aligned. Recognizing what is unclear. Recognizing what needs time to reveal itself before it can be trusted. And this is what Archangel Michael is asking of you now. Not to close yourself off. Not to avoid what is coming. But to stand in it without losing yourself to it. To receive what is presented without immediately attaching meaning to it. To allow intention to reveal itself before you decide how you will respond to it. Because the truth is simple, even if the moment itself feels complex. If something is aligned with you, it will not require confusion. If something is meant for you, it will not rely on uncertainty. If something is right, it will reveal itself clearly over time, not just in a single moment. And that is why you must not rush. Because rushing belongs to emotion. Clarity belongs to discernment. And clarity is what protects you. Clarity is what keeps you grounded. Clarity is what ensures that you do not step out of alignment for the sake of a moment that has not yet proven itself. So when it happens, when the silence breaks, when the message arrives or the interaction unfolds, remember this. You do not need to react. You do not need to answer immediately. You do not need to match the energy that is being presented to you. You only need to remain aligned with what you already know. Because what you already know is more powerful than anything you will feel in that moment. And if you hold on to that, if you stay grounded in that awareness, and no matter how the situation unfolds, you will not lose your position. You will not lose your clarity. You will not lose yourself. You will stand exactly where you are meant to be, in truth, in awareness, and in control of your own response. Type "I choose discernment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2727 is now strengthening your inner wisdom. Now this is the moment where everything becomes real, not in theory, not in awareness alone, but in action. Because what is coming toward you is not just an interaction. It is a test. Not a test meant to confuse you. Not a test meant to trap you. But a test designed to reveal something very important, whether you are truly aligned with who you have become, or if you are still vulnerable to who you used to be. And this is where many people misunderstand what a test really is. They think a test is something difficult, something obvious, something that clearly challenges them in a way they can immediately recognize. But the truth is, the most significant tests are often subtle. They come disguised as opportunities, as familiar connections, as moments that feel almost natural to step into. And that is exactly why they are powerful. Because they do not force you, they invite you. They present themselves in a way that allows you to choose. And your choice reveals your alignment. This is what Archangel Michael is showing you now. What is approaching is not random. It is not accidental. It is a moment that has been allowed to reach you because you are ready to face it from a place of awareness instead of reaction. But readiness does not mean ease. Because when the moment arrives, it will not announce itself as a test. It will feel like a situation. It will feel like a decision. It will feel like something you can step into without fully questioning it. And that is where your awareness must remain active. Because this moment will reflect something back to you. It will reflect how far you have come. It will reflect what you have learned. It will reflect whether you truly understand the difference between what is aligned with you and what simply feels familiar. And familiarity is one of the strongest pulls you will ever experience. Because familiarity does not require explanation. It does not require effort. It does not require you to think deeply. It simply feels known. And that feeling can be powerful enough to override clarity if you are not grounded. But here is the truth you must hold on to in this moment. Familiar does not mean right. Familiar does not mean aligned. Familiar does not mean it belongs in your present simply because it existed in your past. And this is where the test becomes clear. Will you choose what feels familiar, or will you choose what is aligned? Will you respond based on what you used to accept, or based on what you now understand? Will you allow the moment to pull you back into something that has already served its purpose, or will you stand in the clarity of who you have become and move forward without losing that position? Because the moment you are about to face will give you the choice. It will not force you into anything. It will simply present itself and wait for your response. And your response will not just affect this situation. It will define your direction moving forward. Because every time you choose alignment over familiarity, you strengthen your position. You reinforce your growth. You confirm to yourself that you are no longer the same. But every time you choose familiarity over alignment, you create a pathway back into something that you have already outgrown. And that is why this moment matters so deeply. Because it is not about them. It is not about what they say. It is not about how they approach you. It is about you. It is about your awareness. It is about your ability to remain grounded in truth even when something tries to pull you into a space that feels easier, simpler, more comfortable. Because growth is not always comfortable. Alignment is not always easy. But both of them are necessary if you are going to continue moving forward without repeating what you have already moved through. And Archangel Michael is standing with you in this moment, not to make the choice for you, but to ensure that you see the choice clearly. To ensure that you recognize what is being presented to you for what it truly is. To ensure that you do not step into something unconsciously. Because unconscious decisions lead to repeated patterns. But conscious awareness breaks them. This is your opportunity to break what no longer belongs in your life. This is your moment to confirm your growth through action, not just understanding. This is where you show yourself that you are no longer available for what is misaligned. And when you stand in that truth, when you choose alignment fully, without hesitation, something shifts. not just within the situation, but within you. You become stronger, clearer, more grounded in who you are and where you are going. And from that place, nothing that is not aligned with you can truly hold you, because you have already made your choice. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2828 is now strengthening your path forward. Now listen closely, because this is the part your spirit needs to anchor into before anything unfolds. You are not walking into this moment unguarded. You are not stepping into this situation alone. And you are certainly not being left to figure this out without protection. Because long before this message reached you, long before you felt the shift, long before someone even began thinking about you again, something else was already in motion. Divine protection. Archangel Michael does not arrive after the fact. He does not step in once damage is done. He positions himself before the moment ever reaches you. And right now he is already standing in place. Between you and confusion. Between you and misalignment. Between you and anything that attempts to pull you out of the clarity you have been given. This is what you must understand. Protection is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. It does not always look like something being removed from your life in an obvious way. Sometimes protection looks like awareness. Sometimes it looks like timing. Sometimes it looks like you knowing something before it happens, so that when it does, you are not shaken by it. And that is exactly what is happening here. You were shown this before the moment arrives. You were prepared before the interaction occurs. You were made aware before anything attempts to reach you directly. That is protection in its highest form. Because when you are aware, you cannot be easily misled. When you are grounded, you cannot be easily shaken. When you are aligned, you cannot be easily pulled back into something that does not belong in your life anymore. And this is where your confidence must rise. Not in arrogance, not in assumption, but in quiet certainty. Because the presence of Archangel Michael in this moment is not symbolic, it is active. He is not watching from a distance. He is standing with you, guiding your perception, sharpening your discernment, ensuring that what is presented to you does not bypass your awareness. Because the truth is not everything that approaches you has the authority to affect you. And this is something you must fully accept. Just because something comes toward you does not mean it has power over you. Just because someone reaches out does not mean they have access to you. Just because a moment presents itself does not mean you must step into it. You are not as vulnerable as you once were. You are not as unaware as you once were. You are not as easily influenced as you once were. You have grown. You have learned. You have shifted into a position where your awareness itself becomes your protection. And Archangel Michael is reinforcing that position now. Because what is coming is not meant to overpower you. It is meant to reveal you. To reveal your strength. To reveal your clarity. To reveal your ability to stand firm in who you are without being moved by external influence. And that is why there is no need for fear. There is no need for anxiety. There is no need to anticipate the moment with uncertainty. Because you are not walking into something unknown. You are walking into something you have already been shown. And when you know something before it happens, it loses its ability to control you. It loses its ability to surprise you. It loses its ability to pull you into a reaction that you did not choose consciously. This is the difference between being unprepared and being protected. And right now you are protected. Not because the situation will not happen, but because when it does, it will not catch you off guard. You will see it. You will recognize it. You will understand it in a way that allows you to remain grounded, no matter how it presents itself. And that is power. Not the power to control others. Not the power to change their intentions. but the power to remain in control of yourself, to remain aligned with your path, to remain steady in your awareness. Because when you are in that position, nothing outside of you can disrupt what is already established within you. And that is what Archangel Michael is ensuring in this moment. That no matter what unfolds, you do not lose yourself in it. That no matter what is presented, you do not forget what you already know. That no matter how it arrives, you remain exactly where you are meant to be. Protected, aligned, aware, and ready. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2929 is now sealing divine protection around you. This is it. This is the moment where everything you have heard, everything you have felt, everything that has been revealed to you comes together with one final instruction. Stay awake. Not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Because what is coming is not meant to confuse you. It is meant to confirm everything you have already been shown. And yet if you lose your awareness, if you drift back into old patterns, if you allow yourself to respond without clarity, you could miss the purpose of the moment entirely. That is why this is a call, a final call, not one of fear but one of urgency. Because timing matters. You were not shown this too early. You were not told this too late. You were brought into this awareness at the exact moment where preparation meets arrival. And now, everything depends on how present you remain. Because what is about to unfold will not announce itself as something extraordinary. It will feel normal. It will feel simple. It may even feel small. But within that moment is significance. Within that moment is meaning. Within that moment is a choice that reflects everything you have become. And this is what Archangel Michael is leaving you with. Do not fall asleep in your awareness. Do not return to automatic reactions. Do not allow familiarity to override clarity. Because this is not just about someone thinking about you anymore. This is about you recognizing yourself, recognizing your growth, recognizing your strength, recognizing that you are no longer the version of yourself that once moved without understanding. You are aware now. You are aligned now. You are positioned in a way that allows you to see what others miss. And that awareness is your responsibility to maintain. Because not everyone is given this level of preparation. Not everyone is shown what is coming before it arrives. Not everyone is positioned to stand in clarity before a moment unfolds. But you were chosen to see. You were chosen to understand. You were chosen to remain steady when the moment arrives. So when it happens, when the silence breaks, when the message comes, or the interaction unfolds, remember this. You do not need to write. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to step into anything that does not feel fully aligned. You only need to stay where you are. Grounded. Aware. Clear. Because when you remain in the position, everything reveals itself without effort. Intentions become visible. Energy becomes undeniable. Truth becomes impossible to ignore. And in that clarity your path remains untouched. This is your power, not in controlling what comes toward you, but in choosing how you meet it, not in stopping what unfolds, but in remaining unchanged by anything that is not aligned with you. And as Archangel Michael stands in this moment, his message becomes simple, direct, and final. You are ready. You are protected. You are aware. Now remain that way. Because what comes next will not define you. Your response to it will. Type "I remain awake" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3030 is now sealing your awareness and protection. As this message settles into your spirit, understand this. what you have just received is not just a message. It is a divine assignment flowing through you into the lives of others who are still waiting for light. The word declares, "He who sows generously will also reap generously." And right now, your giving becomes a seed that carries truth into hearts that are searching, lost, and on the edge of breakthrough. I feel this strongly. When you act in this moment, you are not supporting a channel. You are partnering with heaven to extend this voice further than you can see. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are not placed there casually. They are your opportunity to respond with obedience, not hesitation. Do not delay this prompting, because your seed today can become someone else's awakening tomorrow. As you give, may doors open over your life, may clarity increase, and may divine favor surround everything you touch. Step into this now and release what heaven is asking from you.